MarzGurl.
I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
And welcome to episode 88 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover Season 2, Episode 37 of City Hunter, titled To Kaori from Rio, With Love, at Christmas, Part 1.
That title's too long.
It's got a lot of pauses. This, and also this, and one of these.
See you later.
Yes. So, we were off for a week.
It was Josh's birthday.
Yeah, because it was my birthday.
Happy birthday, Josh.
Thank
Yay.
you. I appreciate it.
We already said that a week ago.
But still, yay.
There was too much going on, and Josh didn't need to be doing editing, and, we needed to let him have that. It's fine. If you argue, you're an asshole.
I don't think we need to go that far. But, yes, it was nice having time off to do things and eat cake and have delicious foods.
Yeah. We've been seeing the last week or so, advertising for the next City Hunter movie is really ramping up around Japan, especially in Shinjuku.
Yeah, they're at the Shinjuku, tourism building. There is a full-sized statue of Ryo Saiba.
You usually see these full statues at industry events. I remember in the past seeing a very similar one of Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star that looked a lot like this. This was in Japan. That might have been at Wonderfest. You see lots of figures get sold there. Both professional figures, industry, toys and figures.
Well, yeah, it's where a lot of toys get announced.
As well as just rows upon rows upon rows of people who make their own. They make their own garage kits. They make their own self-made custom figures. There was just a giant Kenshiro that looked just like this Ryo that we're seeing now, standing in Shinjuku. My hope is that when we're out there in November, maybe he'll still be standing there, because Ryo is kind of just a face that represents Shinjuku, so maybe it will outlast this movie.
I mean, we're not really making it a secret. One of the first things we're going to do when we get there is hit up Shinjuku.
Exactly, yeah.
So, as you guys can figure listening to this means a lot to us, so it would be nice, Mr. Saiba, if your statue could stay there, we would really appreciate it.
Are you talking directly to the statue right now?
I'm talking directly to the statue, yes.
Okay.
You can just write it off as wishful thinking then.
Okay.
So, for today's podcast, we're going to be covering Christmas in August, because it's August now, but it's Christmas during the show, or at least we're a week out from Christmas, and we're going to be seeing that tried and true old plot point of we have to save the orphanage.
Yay! So this is a different orphanage then, right? From the one that we visited before, because Kaori's brother had stuff to do. He was having children hide cocaine, like good adults do.
Well, at least he was showing them, this is how I get rid of the cocaine.
Sure, but he still left cocaine in the hands of children.
He did. That's horrible.
Anyway, we're talking about a totally different orphanage now.
Yeah, so here at the top of the episode, we see that Ryo's down in the gun range, which looks way wider than it normally does.
Well, it's because he's got these moving targets that he's practicing shooting at them. So it's moving from the left side of the range to the right side of the range, and so Ryo is strafing, he's running sideways to try and keep up with it, to shoot it, and it just looks like he's running forever.
That's what I'm saying. It makes the basement look way bigger than it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Because traditionally, whenever we see the shooting range in any given episode of City Hunter, it's got pretty set parameters and dimensions of, okay, it's only so big. There's only so many stalls in between where you could set up targets. But here, it looks like it's the size of a damn warehouse.
Right. Yeah, it just looks enormous.
And as he goes to make the kill shot on this target, we find that somehow he's not using his traditional gun. Somehow his gun got switched out for a fake pop gun that shoots out a little Japanese flag.
And confetti. And how did Ryo not notice? I feel like the second he picks it up, he should immediately notice, this is not my gun. Where is his gun now?
That's a good question.
Where did Kaori put his gun?
It's 7 p.m. Do you know where your gun is?
I actually don't. I genuinely do not.
But we see that the person who has switched out the gun is in fact Kaori, who is now dressed up as Santa Claus and is trying to show off all the little toys and gadgets and gizmos that she has gotten together for this orphanage that we just spoke about called Kusunoki House.
It looks more like she's just trying to play April Fool's Day for Christmas, because she switched out this gun for one that shoots confetti. And
I've also got this water gun.
She's got this other Tommy looking gun, maybe not a Tommy gun, like an automatic rifle or something. And yeah, it shoots water. Ryo looks kind of nervous for a second until he's hit in the face with with water. I'm a little surprised he just let that happen, but good thing it was just water.
And Ryo's kind of upset, like, 1, you took my gun and gave me a fake gun. 2, now my clothes are all wet. What the hell? It's not even Christmas yet. We got a week until Christmas. What the hell, Kaori? I wasn't even dicking with you right now.
Yeah, but we gotta do stuff for the children, and I'm just ready to go do stuff for the children, and that is not a thing Ryo feels like doing.
Because literally Kaori's whole motivation for the entirety of this 20 minutes of the episode is, won't somebody please think of the children?
I don't know when she started thinking of these children.
Well, yeah, because we're never told when we've been introduced to this, like, particular orphanage. Like, if it was me as a writer, I would have just written this as the same orphanage that we had seen several episodes back.
Well, yeah, because then you've got an emotional attachment to these specific kids, because there's also an emotional attachment to your brother who was there. But no, maybe, like, I'm having to headcanon in the fact that maybe Kaori is, like, got the itch to help kids after that, and she just picked a closer orphanage than having to, like, go out of the prefecture.
That would make sense, because they don't have to go that far to get to this one.
Right.
And so Kaori's over here trying to impress to Ryo how important it is that these kids have a nice Christmas, which of course it is. Kids in that situation, they deserve all the niceties that any other kid would have. But Ryo's over here being like, nah, I got party plans to make. It's one night with Ryo, all women invited, except you, because you're going to be busy checking out what these kids are doing, and you're better suited for that because you kind of have the mind of a kid, so good for you, Kaori.
And also, you just look better dressed as Santa. Like, most women can't pull that off. And like, all these things put together are making her real mad. She's got this hammer that it says 100%, and I'm trying to understand, well, it's 100% of what?
100% anger?
It's 100% hammer.
It's 100%
the whole
hammer.
Hammer is completely hammer.
Yeah, this is all hammer.
It is total hammer.
There's no MSG in this hammer. There's no filler in this hammer.
But you did kind of point out, she drops her Santa sack that she's been carrying over her shoulder, and just in like 3 frames, she's moving to put her hands in front of her body to grab the handle of a hammer that is not there, but suddenly a hammer is there.
And there's no frames of it like showing up. There's no speed lines or anything. It's just hammer.
It doesn't even poof into existence.
That's what I'm saying.
It just exists. Yeah.
And now there is hammer, and Ryo's just ducking it, and he's like, well, good luck with that, I'm out.
So she's not even pulling it out of anything. She can literally just summon hammers.
She is a summoner. So clearly she's not getting anywhere with Ryo, so she decides to go ahead and head off to Kusunoki House by herself, and she shows up at the door, and there's 7 kids there who live at Kusunoki House. We don't really learn all their names, and we're not going to bother to. There's like 1 or 2 important ones that we'll get to later. But for right now, we see that they're all very nervous and looking inside of a door that's cracked open, where the proprietor of Kusunoki House, Mr. Hitoyoshi, is in a very heated meeting with some asshole lawyer in glasses.
Asshole lawyer in glasses is leaving. He's not thrilled that he sees Kaori is there. Well, what are you doing in here? Her response is, I just walked by. You walked by into the house?
Into the orphanage?
And he just kind of accepts that, and he leaves, which gives Kaori the opportunity to walk in, to have this conversation with this proprietor guy.
Well, she has a conversation with the kids first, because dude looks really worried and she doesn't want to bug him, and she's like, hey kids, can you fill me in on what's going on here? And they're like, okay, we'll tell you. So they all sit down at the kids table, right? And
you're looking at a room where on the walls there's all these children's drawings. One of my favorite drawings was directly behind Kaori's head, and it's just, I don't know what guy this is. It's just some guy. Maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's somebody's dad, I don't know. But like, it was just the ugliest, funniest looking dude face.
Like
kid drawing.
These actually do look like they are kids' drawings.
Yeah.
Like, these don't look like the guys at Sunrise did these. Like, these look like these got submitted.
Or they belonged to children in their extended families or
Of the
something like that.
animators.
Yeah. Also on the opposite wall is like a poster that's giving instructions to wash your hands before you eat. And there's a little drawing of hands like scrubbing underwater and stuff like that. It's just, cute kids, orphanage, school kind of stuff.
So Kaori's asking, well, okay, what the hell happened here? Who's messing with the orphanage? What exactly is going on? And the kids fill her in, well, it turns out somebody out here is trying to close the orphanage. This really mean guy that sent the lawyer. She's like, oh, what? Well, who is this guy? And the kids are having a hard time remembering the name.
Well, the one specific kid really has a very difficult time. And he's like, oh, I know who it was. It was a Mr. Ochinko, that is very wrong. And
okay, so we gotta explain this.
The subtitles do not get across just how badly this kid fucked up.
So the subtitles say just what he said, Ochinko. And then the next little girl corrects him, no, it's Okouchi, which is the correct name, but we gotta go back to that first messed up name.
Right, so you do understand even if you don't speak Japanese, like, oh, okay, the kid just messed up. But you don't understand how badly he messed up.
Because the subtitles don't get this across.
Because what he has just called this guy is Mr. Penis?
Yes.
So...
very formally, if you get rid of the O part of it, just on its own, chinko is penis.
Yeah.
You just learned your word for the day. That's penis.
Mr. Wee Wee.
Mr. Wee Wee.
Mr. Pee Pee.
Mr. Peener. Mr. Pee Pee.
So that's how, I mean, he is a child, okay? Like, it would have really helped if there was some other way to illustrate, oh, he really childlike fucked that up.
Yeah,
but,
and it was a dick joke. I don't want the audience to miss out on a good dick joke.
Which, I mean, I don't know what else they could have done other than give a translator's note, and I'm very anti-translator's notes, unless you're including it in liner notes or something else.
Then I actually would have gone with kind of what you just said right now, like call him Mr. Pee-Pee or something, and I think you could have at least gotten that across.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't have really made sense with, like, he got it kind of close to what the guy's name actually was. He just kind of switched some syllables around, and it just happened to equate to penis. So, I don't know. I don't think we could have done a very good job if you had to localize it. You just have to miss the joke, I guess. But that's why we're here, to explain the joke, which obviously makes it very funny.
Yes. And so this lawyer is telling Mr. Hitoyoshi, you have a week to get out of here. The owner has reconsidered all the deals you said you might have had, whether they had been written down or verbal. It doesn't matter anymore. He wants you gone. So get the hell out.
Well, that's not good. Children live here. Oh, too bad.
And so Kaori does go to Hitoyoshi's office and tells him directly, hey, look, the kids just filled me in. Don't you realize you're getting cheated out of your land here? And so Hitoyoshi kind of responds back, look, it's my problem. I'll deal with it. I have to do this. I must protect this house.
That's a really good line. I must protect this house. Well, it just reminds me of that
old Under Armour ad with the football player in the end zone being like, we must protect this house.
I feel like I vaguely remember that Under Armour commercial.
It's got to be like 15, 20 years old at this point.
I bet you if you searched for it on YouTube, you'd find it.
I probably would, but I'm not going to do that right now.
Not right now. That's not what this podcast is for.
But for whatever reason, Hitoyoshi does not want to fight this very hard. And it's weird that he doesn't.
It is kind of weird. He's gonna try, but he's not gonna try that hard.
In fact, he's trying remarkably not hard.
Kaori's pretty upset about it, and she really is like, well, I gotta go get some help on this. Like, surely somebody will help me help them.
But first I must help myself with knowledge. Quickly, to the book depository.
No, she goes to the library, and she's realizing, like the kids have told her, this guy that has got the owner of the orphanage over a barrel, like, he's really famous or something?
He's like, she reads this book that's labeled Top 50 Most Influential People in Japan Post-World War II.
It's very specific.
That's a very specific book.
Well, it's got about, 44 years worth of famous people, I guess.
I mean, I guess you could come up with that book, but I'd say, with a little time, the jury might be out on a couple of these people. You don't know.
I mean, that would be a very large book of, like, who... It could be literally anyone in this very large book.
But does it have to be a large book? Like, Time does that shit with the magazine every year, top most influential people. We don't need a whole book.
But did they do that in Japanese in 1988?
Maybe.
I genuinely don't know. That's why I
You don't even know.
I don't. That's why I'm asking.
But clearly Kaori can detect, well, this guy's got some pull one way or the other. So finding more information isn't going to help. I just need to go directly to Ryo. Ryo's got to help me out with this.
But Ryo's a little busy right now. I guess this is how you had to mass produce flyers, right? Because that's what he's doing. He's mass producing flyers at home, and he's doing it on this home, like, little printing press machine.
Yeah, it's this little press that you could do that on. It's the way you would make flyers.
I imagine, like, you do what? You roll ink over a certain area of what you want printed, and it's coming out all multicolored and stuff, and he's got a Christmas party he's prepping for.
He's got a picture of himself. Did he draw that?
He might have. Maybe he's a semi-okay artist.
I mean, he's not bad.
Did he commission someone to draw him? Did he get a caricature artist off the street?
Did he hire somebody off DeviantArt? Hey, can you draw my face? Here's 500 yen.
I would agree if DeviantArt had been a thing.
Which it was not. It was 88. Which it says on the flyer.
It does. It's Christmas Party 88. Come and have a Mokkori party.
Hang out with Ryo-chan.
Why does he do that to himself? You cannot determine whether or not other people are calling you Chan. Like, you cannot make that decision for yourself.
In any case, Kaori's there trying to argue with him, like, look, you can't be throwing a party. Also, you didn't talk to me about throwing this party here, but that's besides the point. You need to help me help the kids.
And Rio's like, fuck them kids.
But he is, though.
He is.
Because, I mean, that's in character, though, because he's very anti-kid. Even though he does have a soft spot for them, he doesn't take them on as clients. Or at least he tries not to.
He's anti-kid until he sees a kid, and then he's like, damn it, I have to take care of this kid. Can't just dick over this kid. But there's no kids here. Yeah, so long as he cannot see the child, he's like, fuck them kids.
Yeah, it's like Schrodinger's kids is what it is.
Yeah.
So long as the kid is not being perceived by his eyes, then he doesn't have to worry about it. But once it comes into perception, then he has to care.
He has object permanence issues with
kids, with children. And so Kaori's there trying to guilt trip him. Think of the children. Think of the children.
He's like, no, think of the Christmas party.
Think of my boner. In fact, speaking of which, don't you think there's a better way of asking me to do you a favor? You come at me with a hammer, you come at me all sideways. Why can't you do it all sexy like?
The first half of it, he kind of has a point. Like, why do you keep hitting me? Why do you think that's gonna make me want to help you? And for a second, I'm like, actually, that's a pretty good point. But he's
half right.
He's half right. The
other
half of it is, well, you could be sexy towards me, which is like a really manipulative sort of thing to do.
Because when he says that, we're talking like the Christmas episode from Community when Annie's trying to be all sexy to convince main guy whose name escaped me right when I was about to say it. Oh, please join the Glee Club. It's that kind of sexy he wants. He wants that over the top sexy. And he calls her on and he's like, you can't do it, can you? That's what I thought.
I mean, we're talking about, this would be like workplace harassment where your boss is trying to get sexual favors from you in exchange for doing a thing.
Yeah, that is what that amounts to. Yeah. Which is really, really asshole-ish behavior on his part.
Which, I mean, thank God Kaori, like, called him on it, like, well, what the fuck, man? This is so shitty, and you're just such a cruel person. Fine, I'm never gonna ask you for anything ever again.
And she storms out of the apartment.
Go do this by myself, I guess.
And so she does it that night, right?
Yeah.
She decided to stop off at the donkey, or maybe she had, like, a ninja kit ready. I don't know.
So, yes, she is dressed as a ninja.
A full shinobi. And she is, like, jumping rooftops and found her way to Iwao.
To free cable.
To free cable. It's badass. No, she found her way to this guy, Iwao Okouchi's house. This mansion. Literal mansion, not apartment mansion. Like, he's got, like, a compound.
Yeah, very traditional Japanese-style house that is very large.
And Kaori, as you might figure if you've been watching the show, you might be like, oh man, she knows a little bit from watching Ryo. Maybe, you know, her brother taught her a couple things about guns. But then you also think about the training that she might have gotten from Umibozu, and she learned about traps and things like that. But who taught her about ninjutsu? The answer is nobody. Nobody taught her how to be a ninja.
She's just decided, she's just got that much tenacity. This is just what she's gonna do. And guess what? She's really not very good at it.
She sucks at it.
But she's doing it anyway.
She's doing it as hard as she possibly can.
So she gets on this roof and, like, she's removing a tile on the roof to try to get down into this house. And she gets into the house. Mind you, she stumbles in, lands on her ass, and a rat falls out of the ceiling with her onto her face.
And it's like all of the possible physical comedy and pratfalls you would expect from something like this. Like, even before she got on the roof, she's, like, throwing full-ass T-bone steaks at all these Dobermans outside.
That's true.
Like, she knew enough to bring a lot of steak.
She also brought a blueprint of the house.
That's why she was at the library. Maybe that's why she was at the library.
No, we know she was at the library looking for famous people. She didn't even know, well, I guess she did know the name of the guy.
Yeah, because the kids gave her the name, and it's like that Family Guy joke of, can I get the blueprints to Iwao Okouchi's house? And the librarian librarian's like, yeah, here you go. And so that's how she gets that. But
and she's
like,
got a pen light. She pulls a pen light out to look at it.
That's what I'm saying. She went to a Don Quixote before this and stocked up.
Maybe. But she runs face first into a pillar that's holding the roof up. And then she gets into a room and she stubs her foot on a whole box that I guess is really heavy or something.
And she goes down again. I'm not trying to make all these Family Guy references. I'm just saying the way she goes down and the way it's so smoothly animated, her like grabbing her knee and being like,
well, she's rolling around in so much pain and she's crying and she's kind of trying to stifle the pain in her voice. It's funny because this is happening as she's rolling around on the ground in front of a wall scroll that's hung up on the wall. Very traditional Japanese. Oh, we've picked a word out of the dictionary that is a word we want to focus on. Like, you really meditate on this word. You see this in traditional Japanese homes and dojos and stuff all the time. So the word is patience. So maybe there's 2 jokes in here. I'm not so certain about the second one, but the first one is that she's rolling around in front of the word patience, and she's really going through a lot right now.
Well, because she's being incredibly impatient and trying to help these kids, so she's just running into stuff left and right.
So that's the first joke, but the second one is that I think this is more coincidence. You might think that it's more than coincidence.
I do.
But the word patience in Japanese is made up of 2 different kanji, and the first one is nin. It's the same nin that is also in ninja.
And she's dressed
and
like a ninja
dressed like
right
a
now.
Ninja. I understand that, but I think that's just how it's spelled. I don't know.
To me, I thought that was kind of this side of like Japanese punnery.
It could be. It might be.
But like, there's some things that you can get from a Don Quixote, and there's some things you cannot. And one of those things you cannot get from Don Quixote, or really anywhere in Japan at all, is plastic explosives.
It's just got just a wad of C4. And when I say a wad, I mean like it's the size of a basketball.
Like pizza dough is what I'm saying. Like, you're making a whole ass extra large pizza. That's how
out
much
of C4.
That's how much she puts on this safe that she finds behind this tapestry of patience. She moves it to the side. There's the safe. It's like, oh, the thing I'm looking for has to be back there. Let me use the C4 because I know C4 is what you use.
So she puts the whole wad of it on there, and then she goes, that might be too much. And it is. So she rips off half of it, and I'm sitting here going, half of it still seems like too much. And she blows it.
She blows the C4, and she's like, is that enough? Well, actually, that's all she had to do was just hook up a tape recorder to the safe and then just play a live performance of TM Network performing Get Wild. Just and that would have done the trick.
And she's like, oh, I must have mixed it wrong. That was too powerful. And I'm like, no, you mixed it fine. You just used so much
Wait, you don't
C4.
mix C4, you just use C4. You don't put it together, it comes that way.
No, she said she did it, though. She said she made it.
Then when the hell did she learn to make plastic explosive?
She learned that from Umibozu.
That had to be Umibozu, because Makimura didn't teach her that.
No, there's no way.
And so, yeah, like you figure, the whole house wakes up, all the guards are coming running.
Because it's not just the safe that's blown up, it's part of the next wall that Kaori is hiding behind has also blown up. That's how big this explosion was. Because yes, it was too much. But she got what she wanted out of the safe.
But what is unfortunate here is that explosion was so big that it ripped off her ninja mask. And now the guys are coming running in, the guards are coming running into the room.
They just hear this explosion like, hey, what the fuck?
And then here they come. And then there's Kaori, like, caught red-handed because she opens the safe, gets out this wad of, like, documents, and then just tries to hightail it out of there. And
Which, she kind of does, but, she still runs into some problems. Like, she goes crawling out through the walls, and then the dogs are still there, and I guess they've already eaten their steaks, and she must be out of steaks. So, all she can do is run across the yard and try and hop over the wall.
And she landed on a dog, though.
She did land on top of a dog, but that dog is clearly fine. Like, we we see him get back up and still run after her. Like, he's okay. He's
but like
right.
when she was coming out of the ventilation, her pants got caught on something, so now there's a rip in them, and as she's running past the dogs see the rip and it's like, a target.
And the dogs also bite her in the ass and rip some more of this ninja costume off of her.
And somehow she made it over the wall. Somehow.
She did it, and this guy, this Mr. Penis or whatever.
Okouchi.
Sure. He's now aware that, hey, somebody broke into the safe.
And we know exactly what they look like.
So that sucks. You know who else knows what they look like?
Sayako.
Sayako also knows. Why does she know that? Because for some reason, she was just sitting in her car outside of this man's house.
Like she's parked, like staking it out or something, which does tend to happen from time to time, that she's working on a case at the same time Ryo and Kaori are trying to do something. But it just so happened she was parked at the house the exact same night that Kaori's literally showing her ass as she's running down the street, probably thinking to herself, man, I hope nobody saw me do all that.
Sorry, everyone saw you do that. Everyone saw that.
And it is literally going to come bite her ass here in just a little bit. And now we jump to the next day, and Ryo is out doing the one thing that Kaori wishes he would do more often for both of them, but he's handing out flyers only for his party.
The wrong kind of flyers. She's just trying to get them to hand out flyers for their business all the time, and Ryo is always dodging trying to do that. Oh, but when it's for getting boners, now he's more than happy to hand out flyers in approximately the same area.
No, it is the same area, right outside the train station, and he's not even trying to hide what he's doing. Like, he's saying mokkori to people. Hey, boner party.
To women. Like this, you know that this man, if he's living in the age of cell phones and social media, he is the guy passing out dick pics unwanted to women. I promise you.
If Ryo had an iPhone, he would be airdropping dick pics.
He really would. He would.
And so he's handing out flyers, he's giving them to every woman he sees, and he turns around and there's like, oh, Sayako, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Yeah, and she's like, hey, knock it off. You realize there's, like, important crap going down?
Oh yeah, like what? Like with Kaori?
Like, she's in some shit right now. And he's like, hey, that's not my problem.
Well, it might become your problem. Do you know what she's been doing? No, if she's taking care of stuff on her own, then great. We've been training her up. She's got this. Eventually, she's got to do this on her own. Okay, well, when she gets in trouble, it's all gonna fall back on you. Bye! Ryo tries to get her to stick around and commit to coming to his party, and she won't do it. She leaves. She's just like, nope, I said what I needed to say. I'm out of here.
And no sooner does she leave that Ryo is immediately surrounded by 4 dudes. And he's just over here like, shit.
Okay, what did Kaori do?
But before we can find that out, we see that Kaori has made it back over to the orphanage, which I guess also has a shrine there. And we see that she's splayed out all of these documents that she found in the safe, and some of the kids are even drawing on them.
Yeah, which, that's gonna be a plot point later. The kid drawing on this piece of paper. I don't know why Kaori allowed the kids to look at these important documents very up close and personal, and then allowed them to have crayons near them.
They have art time on top of these very important legal documents. But somehow Kaori finds a different document, which is the one she's really looking for, which is the original certificate of ownership for the orphanage, showing that it's Mr. Hitoyoshi that owns the place, not Okouchi.
Yeah.
So this should be the thing, technically speaking, that should save the orphanage.
I mean, as far as Kaori is aware, sure, but mind you, Kaori doesn't know all of the details behind this orphanage or all of the dealings between these men who have a deal together. So she's just basing this solely on, well, this seems correct. There's no way that they have this piece of paper under normal pretenses. That this makes sense.
And no sooner has she found it that this wrecking crew shows up, obviously sent there by Okouchi to try and tear down the orphanage. And thankfully she comes running up with the kids like, no, back the hell off. I got receipts.
And the construction crew is like, yeah, I guess. We're gonna have to come back later.
And Hitoyoshi comes out from the back of the orphanage. He's like, how the hell did you get that? And she's like,
I found it.
And he's like, no, you did not just find it. You took it. You did something immoral. I try to teach these kids as best as I can to not do immoral things. We cannot use that.
Kaori has a good point, though. Like, what do you mean immoral? The fact that they took this from you in the first place was the first immoral thing. We're just getting it back. And he's like, no, Christ, you really do not understand. Jesus fuck! Like, he's really just like, you do not know what you have done.
And Kaori's over here like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? Because you should be overjoyed that we have this at all. Possession is 9/10 of the law here. We have the thing possessed. What does dude have on you?
Not telling. He's really...
So there's something. Just something you're not telling us. He's like, no, I'm gonna take this back. I'm gonna give it back to him. We're gonna do this all legal-like.
We're gonna talk this out. When I come back, we will have talked it out, and we will still live here. Except that's not gonna happen, because here comes a couple of cars full of dudes in suits. Oh no, wait, we're early.
Because we gotta back up for 2 seconds. And so across town, before that happens, there's another conversation happening where, remember those 4 dudes with Ryo? So they took Ryo to go talk to Asshole Lawyer.
Anyway, Asshole Lawyer is there like, so you sent Kaori to go and steal stuff. And, you know, we're not gonna harm anybody, but we do want the stuff back, and I will pay you this entire briefcase full of money to get the stuff back that you made Kaori steal.
And Ryo just leans in real good and he's like, I didn't tell her to do shit. What are you talking about?
I don't know what Kaori stole, but it sounds really important. And the guy's like, so you really don't know what's going on? And Ryo's like, no. And
would you like more money? Are you telling the truth?
I do not know what this thing is. And he's like, close the briefcase. We did not have this conversation. We were never here. You didn't hear anything. They fucked up. They really fucked up.
And it's like, and now Ryo again is like, shit. Because now he realizes the one time he tried to leave Kaori to her own devices, this happened.
Anyway, back at the orphanage where Kaori is trying to figure out what it is that the guy who runs the orphanage is so worried about. Now here comes the dudes in the suits.
And the lawyer.
And they've rolled up. And Kaori's like, shit, they can't have the deed to the house or whatever.
The documents that I stole. She like snatches the documents back from Hitoyoshi.
So I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna go out the door, and I'm gonna get out of here, because they're not gonna stop coming after you, but if I have them, they won't come after you, as far as she knows. So she leaves, and lawyer guy sees her through the window leaving, and he's like, alright, we don't need all of you to do this. 2 of you go after Kaori, the rest of us are gonna go into this house. So the 2 of them are chasing Kaori down. The other, 3 guys...
Well, the 2 guys
and the lawyer are now busting into the house, and they're tearing this place apart. Like, children live here, and they are knocking over desks and bookshelves
and chairs and beds and all this crap.
Yeah, like bunk beds and stuff, and like the kids are grabbing onto their legs, like, cut it out.
And these dudes are like just karate kicking them off, like, get off me, kid. And the kids are like flying across the room. And Hitoyoshi's like, why are you doing this to the children? Please, I will give you back whatever you need.
Is it the papers for the house? I'm gonna give you back the papers for the house. Look, I didn't ask Kaori to do this. I'm just gonna give it right back to you. And the guy is just like, oh, that's what you think we want? Oh no, that is not what we are here for. And even
we're here for it.
Even this guy is like, what is this guy talking about? And even he is not really sure.
Now, this is good in terms of plot development, because this is the first time the audience even knows they're not looking for the ownership papers.
We genuinely don't know what it is they want.
Like, that's a good twist there of, like, you've been led to believe for most of this episode that you know what the object is, what the MacGuffin is, and you've been wrong the whole time.
Yeah.
And so he's over here like, well, if you don't want that, then what the hell are you looking for? And we don't get an answer.
We cut away. We don't know. But we cut away to Kaori running down the street with all this paperwork.
And she's running into an alley, and the guys are like splitting up, and they like pincer her into this alley. And the one dude, like, gets her from behind, like, grabs her, he's like, you better give me what we're looking for, otherwise I'm gonna break your neck.
Well, he doesn't get to do that because Ryo's here now.
Thank God. And
He took his sweet-ass time, but he's here.
And so Ryo comes flying out of a tree that they happen to be underneath, takes out the one guy, and then we saw, like, earlier Kaori was trying to defend herself from the first guy who grabbed her.
She tried to kick him in the dick, but he grabbed her leg and prevented her from doing that. But now that Ryo is here...
And this dude's, like, got his arms wrapped around Kaori.
Well, now Ryo is free to kick him in the dick.
And he goes down, and he's like, that's
how it's done.
The old dick kick. And so Kaori's, like, yelling at these guys, like, I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give up these files. And Ryo's trying to tell her, hey, calm down. There's something more important going on right now. I just got a boner.
This is yet another situation that makes Kaori real upset. Somehow, Ryo seemed to notice that Kaori is female, finally, and managed to get his hands on her chest.
Like, I don't even know how that happened. Like, I guess he grabbed her after she got away from dude who was, holding her by the neck. And so in that moment, he, like, accidentally was grabbing her chest, and he's like, I like this feeling.
It seems like he's kind of slowly appreciating Kaori for actually who she is, even if he's still kind of trying to play it off from time to time.
Also, wrong time, dude.
But it is really the wrong time. Like, she just got assaulted in a different way, and now she's getting assaulted in a new way, and now she has to once again summon out of thin air another hammer.
And she's chasing him down the sidewalk until she almost runs into the kids running down the street to find her.
Kaori has to really quickly, like, hide her hammer behind her back. I don't know why, if she can just poof a hammer in thin air, why she can't poof it back.
She can, though. She'll do it later in, like, another season or two.
So she's just not thinking about it, and instead just kind of goes, and just hides it behind her back, rather than sending it back to the space in which it came from.
From Hammer Space.
And
the kids are like, Kaori, we need help. And she's like, what happened? And they're like, Keiko, one of the other little girls, they took her. And she's like, say what?
Oh no! Freeze frame. Is this the last time we hear Supergirl? This ending theme?
I think it is,
because
if I'm not mistaken.
I think the next episode is the first time we hear
TM Network's new song, Still Love Her.
Because we've had this discussion before. It's Christmas themed. The song it takes place during December. It sounds kind of wintry, right? And so it really fits with the next episode that actually happens on Christmas, but then it ends up being the permanent ending theme for the rest of the season.
Because we get that in context, and I think this is the way it aired too, is these Christmas episodes are airing in December.
Right.
So, like, it feels really Christmassy, and it makes sense, but do you really want to hear this shit while it's, like, March?
To be fair, it is a very good song,
It is a nice song. It is nice. It's not my favorite. It's a good
song. It's a very touching song, actually.
No, it is. It's just not my favorite from this season.
We'll talk more about that one in this next episode, because that's where it actually pops up.
But yeah, this was the episode here. This is classic 80s plot points of saving this orphanage and finding deeds and getting all this stuff done. You see it in a bunch of other stuff from the era. But I think if there had been just the slightest bit more care focused on how Ryo was starting to treat Kaori in terms of his feelings, we're going to get a little more of that.
Yeah.
As we go on, definitely through the whole season, but I think more in next week's episode.
For sure.
I think it would make this episode feel better.
Yeah, it's really heavy and obvious in the next episode.
Because at the end of the day, Ryo is trying to hide stuff from the both of them, from himself and from Kaori, and we're going to see more and more of that slip because he's going to get put in more and more situations where he can't hide it anymore.
I think the rest of this season does a very good job of that. I honestly think this should have been the last season. There shouldn't have been
There's going to be
a
lot of weight on that once we get to that particular episode. We're going to tell you guys well in advance when we're about to hit that episode.
Yeah, and furthermore, I just feel like because the manga wasn't done yet, it has that problem that a lot of other anime have, where the anime ran up into the wall that is, oh shit, the manga author isn't done, and they had to dick around for a couple of years, and then they're like, this isn't working, we have to stop.
If you can go find the video clip of the episode of Gintama that explains that's the best way of doing it. The most concise way of explaining how that happens in between the relationship between manga becoming a full series.
And it's why it's important that we're getting this movie that we're getting this fall, because it's addressing things that happen in the manga that never happened during the run of this TV show. Because they did never get there.
Well, it's kind of the same thing about, like, certain things in another manga, series, whatever, that I used to really, really enjoy about a samurai with a cross-shaped scar. There was stuff that they didn't get to, and eventually they got into in the live-action movie. Unfortunately, I can't recommend anybody watch that right now.
No!
Because there's terrible things about the author that are true.
Yikes.
But here, it's like, yeah, Angel Dust is going to cover that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
So, yeah. But we're going to have more to look forward to in terms of, are they going to save Christmas for the orphans next week?
That is such a stereotypical scenario. Like, you can't even believe it's real. We actually made it an episode about saving Christmas for orphans.
That's what's going on here. City Hunter saves Christmas is what we're telling you.
City Hunter saves Christmas for orphans
is what's coming next week.
So come back next time when we cover the 38th episode of City Hunter 2, To Kaori from Rio, with Love at Christmas, Part 2.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on most social media. I'm at JoshKnightTheFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 88th episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, Josh can't see Santa.
But can I see why kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
I don't know, you're an adult.
So is that a yes or a no?
Bye!